Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Game Reviews. And what are we reviewing this time? Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 is a survival horror single-player game by Remedy Entertainment. Developed by them, published by Epic Games Publishing. It came out on the October of 27th, 2023 on PlayStation 5, Windows, and Xbox Series X and S. It is a next-gen only title. You know, we're starting to get into that now. So you better start going out and getting them PlayStations or GTX 4090s or Series X's and S's, because most games now are not going to be on the old systems. But yeah, it's a single player game. It's the sequel to Alan Wake, if we all remember Alan Wake back in the day, back on the 360 PS3. And it is the sequel to this game, the long awaited sequel to Alan Wake. Been waiting for a long time for Remedy to come out with a sequel to Alan Wake or do something with it. And they finally have released the game. So we're going to go around and see what everybody thinks of Alan Wake 2. Let's go with Shane. Shane, what do you think of Alan Wake 2?
It's a sequel. Yeah. No, it's fantastic. I have not been able to complete it. I've been down sick, and the kind of sick where you don't want to sit up unless you're getting sick. So, but from what I have been able to play the game, it is fantastic. The writing, as always, by Remedy is top notch. Now, I don't know. I can't say how well the story is, except for the portion that I'm up through. But so far, the story is pretty goddamn cool. It's very, very Alan Wakey. I wished we would have just got to this game sooner than the Alan Wake remaster crap, which I still loved the original game. I just absolutely love that game. And this is, so far, it's beyond a worthy sequel. They are mixing things up in this game, though, which is one of the things I was concerned about. And I am happy to say works well. Its writing is its saving grace. Its graphics are really well. I'm playing on the Series X, and I have nothing but kudos for it. I'm running. I started off on graphical, and then I went over to performance just because I like that little bit more smoothness, but it's still phenomenally good looking game. PC, it's supposed to be really good, but PC requirements are pretty beefy from what I understand. But I'm not a PC guy. I got one. I don't I don't know a lot about them though. The game has been a long wait. And the best part is it's not a bad wait. It's a good wait. It's one of those that all your concerns are blown away within the first hour of the game. If you were a fan of the original, some of us in this group are not jump scare guys or just horror guys in general. Some of us live and breathe that crap a little too much. But Nick, I'm talking about you. And then there's guys like me that like just that right monicum of scare, in their games, in their movies. And Alan Wake hits that for me. I think it's really good. The jump scares are just enough, but I've not defecated myself because of that yet. Other reasons maybe, but not because of that. This game is really good and definitely worth the wait. I wish there was. I wish the controls for operating your flashlight were a little, just different, because they have a very tank-like feel, like the old Resident Evils, like the original Alan Wake. I think that's one thing that I would complain about, is I think they should tighten those up. I think the way the controls work for your shooting your flashlight just, I don't know. I think they could have went with more of a traditional FPS type of setup on it, but really that's just a small complaint, more of a personal thing than an actual effect of the game, because it doesn't really, the game is not to where those control setups are going to get you killed. You just gotta get a little bit used to it. It's not that bad, but I would prefer more of a traditional FPS control scheme on that, but that's just me. Pat, what about you, bud? Did you wear your brown pants for this?
Well, you could pretty much take my review and throw it in the trash can, because if you like Alan Wake games, you're not going to like what I have to say. And if you don't like Alan Wake games, then you might be on board with me. I don't know. My review is for the people who have never played Alan Wake games. Because, they'll know what to get themselves into. These guys are fans. I never played the Alan Wake game until they did the remaster, and I played the remaster, and I didn't understand the hype of the game, any of that. I don't find a game that relies on jump scares to be very fun. It's just not my cup of tea. I like the premise of the game. The whole mystery aspect of it and doing the case solving and all that stuff was fun. It's like, let's put these things, let's storyboard out this case and build this case on the wall and do all this stuff was kind of fun and interesting. And then, and then there's mystery surrounding all this stuff. But what I don't like is that the game relies on jump scares, really. And I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need a game to add artificial like crap to make it creepy. I mean, because it was creepy and it was fun, but the game relies way too heavily on jump scares. And I just find that more annoying than anything. Because it's there for no other reason, right? I mean, if that's your cup of tea and you get off on that, and you're in the same boat with Nick, then this is a game for you. But if you've never played an Alan Wake game, then you don't know what you're getting into. It is a mystery novel wrapped up in a horror crime investigation where you're basically playing an FBI agent, and you get to solve a crime by building out a case. You pull out a case file, you get pictures and you line them up and get clues and all kinds of stuff like that. And there's, and things like that. So that's a cool aspect of it. That's a really cool and interesting aspect of it. Wandering around the different areas and, finding secrets and lunchboxes full of things that upgrade your weapons and things like that are an interesting concept, right? It gives you a little bit of an RPG element when it's not really an RPG, right? I can make my gun hit harder and stuff like that. Or make, you put upgrades into your weapons with these pages or torn pages that you find and things like that. What annoys me is, like I said, is the jump scares. Like the first 2 minutes of the game, they do a jump scare with a deer. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Why? What does that add to the game? But, for me, suspense is not an interesting part of a game. I don't watch a game. I don't play a game for suspense. I play a game for immersion and stuff like that. And so I don't like horror games for that matter, because all they do is add tension to my gameplay, and I don't need that. So that's me. So if you like Alan Wake 2, you can throw my review out the window because it doesn't matter, right? Or if you like horror or jump scare games, because I think everything about this game is good except for the unneeded jump scares and crap like that. Like, I found it interesting running through all this stuff, but what I found myself doing mostly with this game is just hyper fixating on when's the next jump scare going to come out. So I didn't enjoy the game at that aspect because of the stupid jump scares. So for me, this game's a no-go. It was a waste of money because I don't care for the jump scares. Even though the majority of the things that you do in this game are fun, I just find that I'm waiting for the next jump scare, which is just an anticipation thing that I don't find fun. I don't find increased cortisol levels while playing a game fun. A stressor hormone game to me is not fun. Why do I want to stress myself out? As in like horror aspect of stressing. There's a stressing game like playing an FPS PvP, and then there's a stressor of playing something that you just do not know where the next jump scare is going to be. And so that's for me why this game is not for me. But, if you like that type of stuff, this game's for you. If you can overlook some of that stuff, I think it's a very good detective style game with cool, interesting concepts and finding clues and things like that. But for me, it was just kind of a waste of money. But Nick, what do you think, man?
I'll throw your review out the window. I absolutely love this game. Now, again, I am biased. I love everything Remedy does. So Remedy has not done me wrong. I love every game and I'm totally invested. I feel like Remedy games and Alan Wake 2, I feel like they're kind of a niche group or a collection of fans that really love their games. And I'm a part of that group because, even though this game got, critically acclaimed and a lot of people are playing it, like I'm not seeing as much online about it, surprisingly, as like some of the other games that came out this year. And I've been looking for it. Like I've been looking online, but I mean, there's a few articles from like, PC Gamer and IGN and things like that about it. But like, on social forums and stuff like that, which there are forums with people talking, but like, that's not like presented in front of me, which is odd, I find. Because usually I find that stuff like Lords of the Fallen, I see crap about that all the damn time online. Like, and I'm talking about I'm not talking about websites like, people that write articles and stuff. I'm talking about like Reddit and different things like that, right? I see a lot of stuff about Lies of P, a lot of stuff about Lords of the Fallen, Baldur's Gate 3 when it came out. Like just, those sites and stuff were just bombarding me with stuff about it, which is cool. I read through it and everything, but like Alan Wake, I don't see anything, which is weird. I have to go look for it. I'm like, come on, why don't you present it to me? But anywho, the point is I love this game. I think it's great. It's fantastic. It's a great sequel to Alan Wake. Remedy did. There's just some really cool ideas. I love the bulletin board. I didn't know if I was going to like the bulletin board thing where, Pat was talking about with like doing all the detective work and like pinning the pictures and clues like that up on the board. But once you start doing it, for me, at least, it felt like a really fun mini game where I'm like, cool, now I get to figure out how all this pieces together and everything. And it's kind of neat to get a kind of, once I got new pictures and stuff, I wanted to go back in there and start tagging them in the different case files and stuff like that to build out the whole plot line and stuff. And that also adds in more story beats. So you get more story as far as background. There's also profiling that Saga can do, which you can learn more about the different characters, especially the key characters that you're, against or that are a part of the town. And the profiling, sometimes you have to do the bulletin board to progress in the game, and the game does a good job of letting you know that too, because there are some times where I was walking around like, I'm not sure what I need to do here. Like, I can't figure it out. And the protagonist is like, maybe I should go back and look at my bulletin board. And I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're trying to tell me, quit being dumb, dummy, and walking around like an idiot, and go back and start putting things on your board and figure things out. So once you do that, then you figure out, okay, there's some times where you have to go do that. You don't always, but there are some times where the game wants you to go back and kind of start piecing things together. But again, the game does make a really good job of letting you know, and that's not about the bulletin board either. In this game, you do play as two protagonists. You play as Saga and you also play as Alan Wake, which we've already known about. They do have their own individual chapters, so they're not like you just get to pick one protagonist or the other to go through the same stuff. They're completely different areas, completely different, but they are intertwined stories, but they're completely different from each other. So you'll be in different areas doing different things, different power-ups for each one, or skill points that you put in that have different power-up or skill sets. For each one, they have different weapons that each one will get, so they don't all get the same weapons and items and things like that between each character. And once you have to go a little bit with Saga, and then you open up Alan Wake. But once you've done that, you can actually swap between both stories on the fly. Not really on the fly, but in the save areas. There's save areas where you can swap realities and go to Alan's and then go back to Saga's. So you can basically beat the game in any form or fashion that you want as far as completing both of their chapters. They both have 9 chapters each. And so you can go through and complete them as you see fit. You could go all the way up to chapter 9 with Alan, then decide I'm going to go back to Saga and start going through hers, if you wanted to. So you're really, you're not kind of tied into doing one or the other. But yeah, I mean, this game, it's a lot of fun. I really like it. I like the one thing that they made change to the flashlight is the now it does, instead of before in original Alan Wake, you would just hold it down and then you would hold the trigger down to beam the flashlight at the characters and they would pop them out. And this one, it has segments. So when you hit the button, it does a segment that it basically does it for you in a sense. So you can kind of, instead of having to hold that down and keep positioned, it kind of does the beam for you enough to break the enemy out of its shadow mode so you can start fighting it. So you can like kind of get away a little bit. And the combat does have a little bit of getting used to. There is a dodge button that does come in handy, but you've got to kind of learn when you need to utilize that. There's also a melee attack button. And again, it's one of those things where those two options are not necessarily highly used, but there are situations where you have to use them. And so it's kind of a timing game in that sense. Once you get that down, once you get the idea of, okay, this is how I dodge an attack, because there's very in your face tells that an attack is coming, right? So I can hit the button here and dodge. It just takes a little bit of time. There's a little bit of a learning curve with that. Before you kind of get that idea, you fight a few of the characters, you're like, oh, okay, I can wait I can kind of pull them back and then they'll come swinging and then I can hit the button and dodge out of the way. I got it. So I can do that pretty much every time, right? And yes, you can. Right. And with the attack button, it's kind of the same thing, right? You kind of kite them back a bit and then pop them on the head, and then they go, they get hurt. You can also kill them that way too, but it takes a lot. But yeah, it's a cool game. I really like it, really enjoy it. The game I'm running on fidelity mode, which most of the time I run on performance mode, but it is a slower paced game, I feel like. So I don't feel like the 60 frames is necessarily necessary. But the game looks great in both modes. And in fidelity mode, surprisingly, with most games in fidelity mode, it runs like crap, but looks great. This game, it runs great in fidelity mode and looks great. So, it's kind of a win-win. So you can, if you want 60 frames, you can swap it over to performance. If you want to keep 30 frames with the higher fidelity, then keep it on fidelity mode. Either one you're going to be happy with, because at least fidelity mode, I feel like in this game, it doesn't run like crap. Like most games, usually fidelity mode runs like crap. This one didn't seem to run that way. They got this game running really great. The only problem I have with this game, and it's not really a problem, it is a problem, but it's a problem that they'll fix. I'm sure at some point Remedy knows about this issue, but it has an audio issue. This game does, where the audio will not sync up with the voices as they're talking. It also has another audio issue where the audio will just like go away completely and just kind of come in and out and pop in and out. Restarting your game seems to resolve that. But it happens quite a bit. And sometimes when I've started the game up and go into the game, just loading into my game, I'll have like no audio. It'll be like this humming noise and it pops every so often. So I have to completely close the game out, open it back up, and then it's fixed. It's an annoyance, but I read online, apparently Remedy knows that this is an issue and they're looking into resolve. So it's probably just going to be a patch or fix or some point where they'll resolve that and get that working. But other than that, I think the game's great, and again, I think Pat's right. Remedy games are really, they're for everybody, but for me, it seems like Remedy games are a certain set of individuals that really enjoy these games. And the group has got to be big enough, right? Because they keep making more of them. So they got to have a big enough, and they're, usually these games most Remedy games that come out, are graphically high, right? So they have the budget to really put in a lot of work. And this game also includes stuff from like Quantum Break, in the fact of it has cutscenes that are in engine, right, in the game. And it also has cutscenes, a lot of them, that are with real people, real actors, acting out parts and stuff like that. And it's really cool. So
the tour guide videos are pretty funny.
That's the tour guide, yes. Screw the government. We have bolt cutters. They don't say screw, but I'll just keep it PG here.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say you probably don't see a lot of advertisements or not a lot of articles for it because of two reasons. I would say probably more than 2 reasons, but 2 basic reasons. There's not a whole lot of issues with it, so there's not a whole lot to talk about. And it really is a true linear story experience. Like and everything that you see that gets a lot of press, like you said, Lords of the Fallen, they're asking for strategies. Like, how do I beat this? Or things like that, or this secret or that secret. And the same thing with like Baldur's Gate 3. Like every playthrough is going to be different. I compare this to like Spider-Man. You only need a lot of Spider-Man 2 stuff in the news. That game's been out for weeks because it's a linear story experience that everybody's experience is going to be the same. So there's not like,
true.
Look at this cool secret I found, or hey, how do I beat this boss strategy? Because Alan Wake 2 is pretty much a linear story. If you fail in the linear story, it rewinds you back to the checkpoint and then you move forward. You die, you move back. And you're not really going to deviate from that. The only deviation in the game is that when I use those, where it wants you to go back in and storyboard, I use those as exploration points because I know I'm not going to get jump scared. I'm like, oh, cool. I can roam the map and find all the crap in the map without worrying about something jumping out and scaring me. So that would be my relaxation time, if you will, in the game where I'm like, let me go find all the lunch boxes full of the torn pages, and stuff like that. Because then I know I'm not, and I find that part of the game fun, but I don't find the jump scares fun. So that's why the game is a pass for me. And the Alan Wake one, I just, it was a remaster, but I didn't think it was I don't know. I thought it still looked like it was old and bad. So, but I never played the original, so I have nothing to compare it to, but I felt the controls were really bad. It looked blocky. It just wasn't for me. And so I thought, oh, cool, I'm going to get into this game. And because of the old one being blocky and everything like that, the jump scares were like, this isn't scary, right? It's a little creepy, but not scary. And this one here, like they intentionally just like flash. I don't want to give away anything. They flash things in front of your face and loud noises to basically make you jump. Because I'm a gamer. I play with my headset on, so everything is going to be like right in your sensory overload at that point. So, it's not a bad game. It's just not for me. The jump scares ruined it. I have no complaints about anything else of the game except the jump scares, and the jump scares have ruined the game for me. So maybe they need to take they need to have a little switch. You could say no jump scares, like they do in like all these other games where they have the
like with
no
the
spider
spiders.
mode. Yeah, no spider mode and stuff like that. Do something like that, because that just builds unnecessary tension for me. And I find that I am often, when I play this game, I am in a tense position. And what I mean by that is instead of me sitting in my recliner all relaxed, I'm hunched over my controller and I have a death grip on the controller. And then when I realize, I'm like, oh, I've got this death grip on my controller and I've been tensed up in this hunched up mode for like 30 minutes. And now I'm sore and achy and I'm like, whatever, this game. And I don't like that game. That's not fun for me. But it is an interesting game, and I like all the aspects except for the jump scare portion of it. So,
well, now we know not to jump out and flash things in Pat's face. I'll remember that our next get together. But you do have to have the ability to handle those jump scares. I mean, because a lot of people don't like them. I don't like them a lot of times. But that's one thing I do like about them too. Is like, all right, when's it going to come out and hit me? Not here. Oh no, it didn't hit me. Oh shit, there it is. That's one thing I liked about like the original Resident Evil. I can walk down the hall. Oh shit, it's the birds, or oh shit, it's the crow, or it's nothing. I pardon my languages, but that's one thing.
You're
I love
psyching
about
yourself
these
out,
games.
and I find myself doing that in this game too, because I was walking through. When you're walking through the park and I'm like, something's going to jump out. So then nothing happens. And then you're like, okay, cool. I'm about to go interact with this. And then bam, there it is. And you're like, you bastards.
You
let my
can't
guard
catch
down.
me. I wore my Depends, you bastard.
With the brown pants.
With the brown pants. But no, this game is tight. There's really not anything Remedy has put out that I haven't either really, really, really liked or just loved, except for like the last Max Payne. It was really good, but it wasn't. It was missing something. So
Max Payne 2?
No, the one it was 3.
That's Rockstar. Rockstar did that.
Rockstar did, and that might explain why.
Remedy did not do 3.
Yep, they don't let them touch that shit again. Pardon my language. But no, the game is tight all the way around. Nothing, like I said, nothing Remedy does that I haven't really liked or just loved. Plain and simple. And this is just another great iteration of it. I look forward to finally completing it. I wish I'd been further right now, but like I said, I feel like Dookie. I look like Dookie. Speaking of which, are we done?
And he sounds like Dookie. Yeah, we're done. Yeah, but this game is great. I really enjoy it, and I understand where Pat's saying. You know, a lot of people miss out on certain games because of certain aspects, right? And that's kind of like goes back to the what is it, the Dark Souls easy mode thing. You know, it's like, what do you do then, right? What do you do about that? Because you would love for everybody to be able to enjoy every game that comes out. If there's something of some aspect that they don't like, not necessarily they don't like about it, but that is a barrier for them, right? In this case, like for Pat, it's the jump scare part, right? If you could turn that off, or for Dark Souls, it's the easy mode, but then you take away from what the game is, and it's this, you know, it's this whole gray area where you don't know exactly, for developers maybe or whatever, we don't know exactly where to go because
I have a fix.
Yes,
everything that's a jump scare in this game, the patch should be a kitten. So whatever the image is supposed to be, it's just a kitten.
Hey, the game is on PC. Modders,
Yeah.
I'm sure modders will do something to take. They could do something to take out everything and change it to something else.
And I can't, you can't even claim some of that stuff because, like, I'm not a Dark Souls fan. I'm not a Dark Souls fan at all. I don't much care for Dark Souls, but I love Elden Ring. But I don't know how to compare the difficulty. Nick, what do you compare the difficulty of Elden Ring to Dark Souls is? Elden Ring seems easier to me, but I don't necessarily know if that's true. Maybe the mechanics of Elden Ring clicked with me, whereas Dark Souls does not.
I think Elden Ring was easier, in my opinion. I think it's easier than Dark Souls.
Elden Ring. It's the same genre, but yeah, it's not that hard. And so
I guarantee it's easier because I play the crap out of it, and I don't have that kind of patience for Dark Souls.
Right. And like I said, there's plenty of like creepy, scary horror games out there that I don't mind that don't do jump scares. Like jump scares pretty much is an off-putting thing for me in video games because I don't mind it in movies or anything like that. But there's a difference, right? In a video game, I'm immersed. I feel immersed in what I'm playing. As a movie, I don't feel that way. I don't feel like I'm completely immersed in what's happening. I'm like, oh, that person's about to get killed. And next thing you know, Jason pops out of the left side of the screen to jump scare everybody. I'm like, oh, that stuff doesn't, but I'm not immersed in that like I am a video game. So, and that's really what it is. It's just an immersion thing. And I'm like, well, it's a little too much immersion. So I'm never going to play this game in VR or anything like that, and if they add the kiddie mode, then maybe I will play it again. I'll pick it back up and finish it. But for me, I'm not going to finish it because I can't go through 18 chapters of jump scares.
No, and I get what you're saying, especially the comparison between a horror movie and a game. A horror movie is just a flow. Every horror movie has its own flow. Storylines may be different, but it's the same flows for the most part. But a game is, you make that choice to go around that corner. You physically push your character there. It's a different thing. And I mean, how many games have you played where you yelled out a profanity? I shouldn't have done that, or I went around that corner. I don't want to make that turn. I mean, we've all done it. Even Nick, and he's got big brass balls. I mean, but we all have those moments in certain games that are like, crap. But this is still a top-notch game. So,
indeed. All right, you guys got anything else you want to add to this? All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Let us know down in the comments below. Have you played Alan Wake 2 yet? And what do you think? What do you think of Remedy games overall or scary games overall? Is that your type of thing, or do you avoid them like the plague? Let us know down in the comments below. Other than that, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe if you're not. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Remember, it's not a lake, it's an ocean, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.